Welcome back, Hunters, to our deep dive video regarding Devil's Moon and the gameplay changes around it. Please make sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date with all the changes and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see future videos like this one. And today I'm joined with the one and only Dennis to talk us through all the gameplay changes in Devil's Moon. So Dennis, how about we dive into it and talk about the gameplay changes this time around? But before that, could you recap how players can earn event points in this event?
Absolutely. So the objective for the player is very similar to previous events. So you have different ways of getting your event points, which is the main source, what you need, right? And you can do that by either exploring the world, finding different sources of those. You can also just do the objective, like killing a boss. Or you can also do PvP. So those three pillars players are quite familiar with. That's the same as in previous events.
So are there any additional ways to earn event points?
Yeah, so we have reworked the summon system for this event, and it's now called the challenges. And they give you another way to earn stars, which leads to event points as well. We talk more about that in the progression deep dive with Anton.
But we mentioned in previous videos that there's a completely new thing called pledge marks. Could you tell us about what those are and what they do?
It's the currency which drives lots of the gameplay mechanics we're trying out with this event. And basically players can earn these pledge marks every mission. There's three ways to earn them, so you can earn 3 pledge marks every time you play one of the contracts. The first time is if you reach 35 event points. The second one is if you loot your first hunter, and the third one is if you banish your first boss. So between those different activities, the player can get up to 3 points in every round, which they can then spend and use, as we discuss in a second.
So are these for the individual players, or is it shared with the whole team?
So similar to what we did in previous events, this is all shared. So if one of the players in the team is doing this, then obviously everybody in the group gets 1 mark.
So what can players do with these pledge marks, and how many can they carry in a mission?
So every hunter can carry up to 4 of those pledge marks on them. What they can do with it is that they can seek out special supply points that we have during the event, where they will find pledge boxes. And these are associated with one of the 3 pacts we have. And by pledging to these respective pacts, they then unlock a specific trait for their hunter they can use for gameplay. So we have 3 pacts total. We have the Lunar Pact, we have the Grounded Pact, and we have the Infernal Pact. And each of them have their own set of traits unique to the theme and the fiction behind each of them. And
you mentioned that players can carry 4 of these pledge marks, but earlier we said that they can only collect 3 in a mission. So could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the idea is that you can deepen your pledge. And that means if a player goes to one of those pledge boxes at a supply point to pledge, they can first get the first trait by the initial pledge. But if they have 4 marks on them, so the maximum amount, they can deepen their pledge to also get the second trait. And that means there's kind of a bit of a replay value. You wanna go and take your hunter into multiple missions, wanna keep him alive, so you can maximize and get both of those traits and then really play to the advantage of the traits.
So you touched on the 3 different pacts already, but let's dive into them separately a bit and talk about the traits they come with. So how about we start with the Lunar Pact first?
Yeah, so the Lunar Pact is associated to Kevin, the False Saint. You might know him from the lore of the previous events. That pact is all about restoration, healing from the gameplay perspective or what their traits are doing. So they have 2 traits. The first one is Relentless. What Relentless is doing is basically, if you have a mark on you when you carry that trait and you get downed, you don't lose a health chunk on that death, basically. So that is a very powerful change. The counter is basically that the marks that you carry on your hunter, no matter of 1, 2, 3, or 4, they're all wiped at that point. So you need to then afterwards get new ones in order to get the benefit. So it's a very limited power, but it's very, very powerful for players if they want to basically stay in the fight, because they still have all of their health when they get picked up again. So the second trait is, if you deepen your pledge, and you get to that one as well, is Indomitable. And Indomitable is basically a layer on top of the first one, so they work very nice in combination. What Indomitable is doing is it regenerates your health across chunks. Think of it as a variant of a regeneration shot that is permanent as long as you have 4 marks. The moment you are losing the marks, because, for example, the first trait has drained them, that power also shuts down. So you need to kind of be on top of your game. You need to keep your marks high up in order to benefit from this. And as a regeneration shot, you have to think of it like that, where the regeneration shot starts to regen at instantly. However, it does so at a lower speed. Here you have to wait the normal time for regeneration to kick in, but it does so at also the normal speed of regeneration. So it's a variant. Basically, it gives you different gameplay. It makes it very powerful as long as you keep your marks.
Let's talk about the other side of things, the Infernal Pact.
The Infernal Pact is aligned with Mr. Cherry and has Mary Ochenko as their champion. So it's all about destruction. It's basically following the footsteps of what Mr. Cherry has been up to in the Bayou for quite a while now. They have two traits as well. And the first one is called Fire Eater. What Fire Eater does is basically not too unlike what you see on the Lunar side, but a bit more focused around fire, which is whenever you burn down a health chunk, you actually get it back for 1 mark. You also get your health restored fully for whatever marks you have left. You can do this multiple times because it's 1 mark only, not all the marks being like cleared and wiped all the time. However, it's a bit more situational, obviously, since it's around fire. But also the player can always set things to fire himself. So whenever he might need some health, maybe ritualistically burning off his health chunk is one valid option of making use of this feature. There's also one thing which is really interesting. When you get downed and set on fire, obviously you burn for a much longer time because you can use your marks to kind of like be there, which gives your partners a chance to kind of like do something, help you out.
Yeah, that sounds great, especially around this event and all the fire. Could you tell us about the other trait that you can acquire by deepening your pledge to the Infernal Pact?
Yes, so if you have acquired 4 marks and you deepen your pledge at the supply point, what you get is then a new trait called Flame Touched. What Flame Touch does is it basically prevents you from catching fire. So you still get charcoaling damage, so your health chunk still kind of starts burning down a little bit, but you never really catch on fire. So that means for quite some time you can actually be in and around fire and be very safe. And then together with the Inferno, that opens up a couple of new paths on how you can kind of use this environment and be really creative there for new gameplay tactics.
There's a third pact, which is on the neutral side of things, the Grounded Pact. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Grounded Pact, as you said already, like it's kind of a neutral pact, right? So it's for those hunters who aren't really committed to either side. And it's also one which attracts lone wolves and more solitary players quite a bit, as you can see. They have 2 very interesting ones. So the first one, for the first pledge, is called Death Cheat. And what Death Cheat does is basically it allows you to keep your hunter on death. Now, this sounds very powerful at first, but it comes at a price still. So every time you have to do this, you will lose all of your marks just on the Lunar side. First, you need to get like your marks again before you can do it another time. So there's always a bit of a preparation around it. But also, if you are then coming back into the main menu with your hunter still being there, obviously you are very short on health. Like you might have lost a couple of health chunks, for example, and all of your gear is out and gone.
Yeah, I think it sounds really fair and also very good for players that like to keep the same hunters and progress with them, even if they happen to die this time around. But you can also deepen your pledge in the Grounded Pact as well. And what is the trait you get there? And it's really cool.
The second trait, like when you deepen the pledge with 4 marks, is called Shadow. Now, Shadow is very different from Death Cheat. Unlike the other pacts, they don't really build upon one another, so it's like 2 different things. In this case, what Shadow does is it actually makes you be ignored by most of the basic monsters in the swamps. It doesn't affect the bosses, but it does affect everything else. You're kind of moving around, grunts, hellhounds, etc. But they will still hear you around. They still react to the noise you make, and it steers them up, so you can't really hide amongst them so easily. But they will not attack you directly. Maybe seek even refuge in amongst those hellhounds when they're being chased, as the hellhounds will then attack the other ones while they make a run for it. So it opens up a couple of new techniques. You can only get this benefit if you continuously keep up your 4 pledge marks all the time on the hunter.
Could you tell us as a developer, why did you guys decide to add these changes and why it's good to do this during events?
So what we've seen a lot from interacting with the community is also like that you guys want more gameplay changes. You want to experiment more, have different angles, different types of gameplay. So for us, like using events like this is a great opportunity because we can actually try experiment on a short amount of time, limited time, just try things out, see what sticks, what people like, what they don't like. And what we do with this as well is that we kind of see, okay, how you guys are reacting to these different changes. Are some of them over the top? Are some of them actually really what you wanted all the time? Then we're going to consider like developing them a little bit further also after the event. So it's going to be like an interaction for us also with the community, using the events as a framework for us to experiment with new mechanics, new ideas. And if they like them, we stick with them. If they don't like them, they will go away.
Thank you for all the development insight behind the traits. And on that note, there's actually, like usually with other events previously, like Serpent Moon and Traitor Moon, we have some older traits that change during the event, some conditional changes. And I know there's some for this event as well. So could you tell us about those now?
Yeah, so we picked like 3 additional traits and 1 per pact, basically. These are existing traits, and they get a conditional effect on top of that. We have picked, for example, for the Lunar Pact, we have picked Resilience, so that if you have a hunter that is pledged to the Lunar Pact, and you also have Resilience, what it does now is it doesn't just like revive you with 100 hit points, it actually revives you with full hit points, like depending on how many chunks you have left. Then we have a self-skin for the Infernal Pact. So if you have an Infernal Hunter and you also have self-skin on you, in addition to its normal effect, what it does is basically it's even faster in kind of regenerating from the charcoaling damage, the fire damage that the Hunter can suffer. So it even more supports this whole gameplay in and around fire.
Players or viewers watched our trailer, there was a third trait, Necromancer, which also changed in a big way in Devil's Moon. So what is that about?
Yeah, so this is actually one of our bigger experiments, this event, and it's kind of a bit like hidden there, but this is something which we're looking very much forward to seeing like the reaction from the community and how people play this. What happens is that Necromancer is getting a condition for the Grounded Pact. So as I mentioned before, this is all about like also like lone wolves and being solitary, and the condition is only affecting solo players. So what that means is that if you have the Necromancer trait, which normally a solo wouldn't need to pick because it's for your teammates, doing this event, it actually gives you a chance to self-revive yourself. Now, that sounds very strong at first, and maybe it is. This is something that we're looking forward to get some feedback from you guys. It allows you to, from the death screen, with a short time delay, to kind of like self-revive yourself and then get back into the game. However, you still lost your health chunk from being downed. You might still be low health. So all the normal rules for revive might apply, but it might give you a chance to actually get back at the guys that just killed you. So we have one more trait, which is Signee. So that's back for this event as well, and obviously gives you a boost on the event progression.
That's not all, and it's your favorite topic, I know. Let's talk about guns, because with Devil's Moon we have a bunch of new weapons and weapon variants, so tell us about those.
The most prominent one is the Springfield 92 Crack Rifle. It's like a new long ammo rifle, kind of sits a little bit between like the Mosin and the Lebel. It's a different type of playing with the weapon. It's similar to what the Slate shotgun was for the shotguns, like it's very lightweight, doesn't need many traits for you to be operating it efficiently. But it's also a bit more on the lower end from the damage side and kind of makes it up with a higher rate of fire and very easy reloading.
It also has a very punchy sound, so it sounds good.
It sounds awesome, yes, like as usual, top-notch audio. So we have like two bigger variants that we're releasing as well. So one of them is the Lamut Carbine. So think of the Lamut revolver, but as a elongated version, so stock, longer barrel. Also the shotgun barrel is elongated, which means it's more powerful. And that's quite useful because you can actually use this similar to like a single shot from a rival even. As a long slot weapon, obviously, you kind of get like the power of a shotgun together with a compact ammo still with a decent fire rate. And then there's also the Martini Henry iron sight. So the iron sight is something we've also seen quite a bit in social media. It's been something that was a fan favorite, and we also got really excited when we first learned about it. It's basically a modification to the Martini Henry rifle that's already in the game, but with a side-mounted magazine that allows it to kind of rapid fire several shots, kind of feed back into it. The rate of fire is a lot faster, and it means that you can kind of rapid fire these really powerful Martini Henry shots.
And since you mentioned the blocky things, there's also one smaller variant we've added with this update that
yes,
actually.
Exactly. So we're also, for the first time, introducing custom ammo for the bomb plants. We have two versions that we're going to release with this. One is a Dragon Breath. So think of it like similar to what the Dragon Breath does on the shotgun. So it's like even like a little shotgun shell kind of mounted up there, and you kind of like fire it off, and then gives you this burst of flame out. And that's really cool. Like if you want to just like push into a room, like just like blaze it on fire first and push after. It gives you that flexibility with the bomb plants at range. And the other one is called Steel Bolts. And what Steel Bolts do is basically think of it like penny shot but silent. So it's like little metal balls, and it's all a spring-loaded mechanism, right? That doesn't make much noise, and you can kind of like shoot it out. It doesn't have wall penetration, so like penny shot, it's not really effective through walls, but still like you can kind of soften up an enemy or maybe just catch one hunter off guard. So we also have the Centennial Trauma variant, and it's basically a blunt melee variant, which similar to like the Mosin Nagant Obres gives you like a good fighting chance against, for example, immolators. So this follows the same logic as talents do, for example, for imitating the axe. In this case, this imitates the sledgehammer. So if an immolator comes your way, one heavy attack with this, actually kills them in one strike. On top of that, we also have a couple of additional custom ammo variants for existing weapons. So we have 2 for the packs. They get like full metal jacket and poison ammo. And then we have for the Springfield 66, we have also poison ammunition as a new one.
That's not all, and you mentioned it a few times before. There's a new wildcard condition called the Inferno coming with this event. So what is that about?
As a wildcard condition is something that doesn't happen all the time, which is really exciting. So something which will periodically occur and reoccur as the event goes on. All of the maps, there are certain parts of the maps which are set on fire. And that means there's completely different new ways for you to move around the map. There's also like maybe familiar ways which are blocked off. You need to figure out alternatives. What's really interesting about that part is just like how players will engage with that together with the pacts and the powers they get during the event. I think we have a very interesting combination.
So now that we talked about the Inferno, we came to the end of our gameplay changes video. So Dennis, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure as always.
This is the last time people see you this year. So we wish you all happy holidays and a happy new year as well.
Thank you, likewise.
Please make sure to follow us all on social media on all the channels and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep updated with Hunt Showdown. And we will have one more deep dive video regarding Devil's Moon with Anton, where we will talk about the progression changes. For now, guys, see you in the bayou and have fun during Devil's Moon.
Bye.
Bye.